Hello and welcome to another Crochet Along with Hannah. Today we're going to be working on this hat. This is called the Ocean Waves hat. I do have some other things planned for this. Excuse me one moment. I have my paper on the other side of the table, excuse me. Today we are going to be doing the Ocean Seashell hat. This pattern can be found on Ravelry. I have it printed out here. And it does come in the kits. If you stopped by and picked up a kit, it has this pattern in it. And this is what we're going to be making today. It's a simple in the round hat. It starts out with a magic circle and goes on for the beginning rows of where you're enlarging your hat. And then it develops into the shell pattern, which hopefully you can see. I may need to go put my blind down. I'm got a lot of light coming at me. I don't know what you can see. This is pretty quick, and the pattern does have multiple sizes in it, so you can adjust this for anybody. And if you're going to stop by and pick up the kit, I'm going to go over this with you, what exactly comes in it. You will get a skein of yarn. This is Brava in white. This yarn was donated by Knit Picks. Knit Picks has been probably one of our biggest supporters of our little crochet tutorials. They have been sending box after box of their yarn, and it's beautiful. It's soft. It's acrylic, so it's hypoallergenic, which is good. And it's a great starter yarn, and I have so many different colors. So if you want a kit, come on in and pick one up. They are free because all of our materials have been donated generously by various yarn companies all over, Brava being the main one. Bead Park donated a lot of our hooks. However, so did Knit Picks, donated these beautiful bamboo hooks, which I'm going to use today. These are great for beginners. I absolutely love bamboo hooks for people who are just starting out because they are less slippery than the metal hooks that you would get. And the fact that Knit Picks donated these are gorgeous. I mean, it's pretty. So your kit comes, like I said, with a skein of yarn, a crochet hook. It'll come with a darning needle. This is for weaving in your ends. And then it comes with a packet of information for beginners. I have an essentials guide for crochet. This has great information in it for beginners on how to hold your hook. It has different conversion guide. It has all the abbreviations you're going to find in a pattern on the back of here, which comes in handy when you're just learning to read patterns. You don't know what that means. It is kind of like it's writing in a foreign language sometimes, but this will give you everything that you're going to commonly see in a pattern. It gives you a conversion chart for the different hook sizes because the US and the metric and the UK sizes vary. So if you're not from the States or you're ordering online and they don't have the letters that the hooks in the States will have, because you'll see that the US has either a letter or a number, whereas everybody else is using millimeters or just numbers. So that has that explaining that. This is a great kit to get started. I added some stuff that you don't find in this guide that I noticed that you're going to need to learn, like how to read the back of a skein of yarn. When you look at a skein of yarn, you're going to find a little icon of a skein of yarn with a number in it. This guide tells you what those skeins of yarn, what that number is. Now, number 4, which is what this is a worsted weight yarn. And that's what you commonly use to make hats, scarves, blankets, Some patterns will call for thinner yarns, others will call for thicker, excuse me. And this will tell you what number goes with what weight, and it'll also give you recommendations for hook sizes, because the thicker the yarn, the bigger the hook size you're going to need generally. And in here I put more conversions in there because some of the abbreviations weren't in the kit, so I found extra ones that weren't in that first page again, and then I have another metric US conversion. I am working on putting together a kit that explains how to convert the UK patterns, because the UK patterns they use different terminology than we do, and that can be confusing to somebody that's just starting crochet. I started watching when I was learning how to crochet. I used a British woman, and then I didn't know how to read US patterns, which was a problem. So I had to teach myself how to read US patterns. And so I'm going to put together a paper that explains the difference between the US term and the UK term, in case you decide to go the YouTube route and explore other crochet tutorials, because there's a bunch of great ones out there. And before I get started on crafting, I want to go over some other programs that we have. Miss Teresa has her art program tomorrow. You can call in and request a kit. She'll get one ready for you. It is Facebook Live art class, where, you know, she does little projects with the kids, but they're fun for all ages. And Mr. Andrew is at Kingsman Park every Tuesday until the weather, you know, gets a little fallish, winterish, you know. As long as the weather permits, we're going to continue to have Mr. Andrew at the park every Tuesday. He's there at 10:30. And it's free. Just, you know, show up and have fun. And then weekly programming on our Facebook page. You can also find this on our website or our YouTube channel. If you search for the Upper Chichester Library on YouTube, you can find us there, or you can go to our website. There is an Upper Chi Live tab that you can click on under our events, and it'll take you to all of our YouTube videos that you can rewatch whenever you feel like it. And they are all deemed child appropriate, because that's what we do. We have a book discussion coming up on Thursday, the 28th of October. It is on My Brilliant Friend, I cannot talk today, excuse me, by Elena Ferrante. That is Zoom based. If you want more information on that, go to our Facebook or our website and email the email address that is attached there so that you can get your Zoom link to join in. Another Zoom discussion we are going to have with a local author. This is November 10th. It's a Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. This is another Zoom-based discussion with the author that wrote this book herself. The book is called Finding a Soulful Love, and it is written by Lucinda Johnson. So please, you know, register for this and help support a local author. We love our local authors. Now that all the commercials are done, we are going to get into our hat. And like I said, this comes with a pattern that is adjustable to 11 different sizes. So you can make this for a newborn all the way up to an adult man if you wanted to. This one is done in pink. The one on the cover of this, which you can't see because I printed it in black and white, was like a blue tan ombre all-in-one. The Karen cakes, they're perfect for stuff like this. If you don't want to get into changing the colors on your own, you can just let the yarn do it for you. They come out beautiful. This sample piece was made with Karen Simple Soft. If you're making something for somebody that's fussy with textures, they don't want it itchy. Nobody wants itchy yarn, and everybody thinks yarn is itchy. This yarn is extremely soft. It's Karen Simple Soft. You can get it anywhere. Joann's, Michael's. I don't know if Walmart still carries it. I don't think they do, but you know, you can get it at any of those. It's very soft. It's got a nice little shine to it, which you probably can't pick up on my camera, but it's okay. It's a simple hat to make. If you followed my last tutorial on hats, you know we did just a basic one and it starts the same. The only thing that is going to be different and a little bit more challenging is the shell stitch, but it is not, if you can do a double crochet, you can do this hat. I am going to find my center pull of this yarn, hopefully. Sometimes I can't always. I just kind of fish around inside the skein until I find the end. Sometimes I don't find it. I have to start from the outside, but most of the time you can find that center pull. This is going to be difficult today. And there's not any one specific brand that it's easier to find or not find. They're all about the same. It's kind of, you just got to fish around in there. And then if you can't, like, I'm on a time constraint. I don't want to spend an hour looking for the center of this yarn. So I'm just going to start with the outside of it today. Because I don't want to destroy a skein yarn and have to get up and leave you guys again to go get a new one. But we are going to start by prepping our yarn. And we are going to, for the magic, you can do a magic circle. It calls for a magic circle. Or a magic ring. Some people call them magic rings. I think they describe it as a magic ring in here. It took me a long time to master the magic circle. And sometimes they are still difficult. A magic circle is almost like you are starting a slip knot, but you don't finish it. You kind of leave it circular like that. You will take your hook in. You are going to yarn over, pull that loop through. So you have a loop on your hook and you're fairly attached to your piece. You are just going to yarn over and pull through with your hook. And it kind of creates this adjustable ring, which is great. If you're just starting out, leave a longer tail. You can always sew that in at the end. And it's easier if you're not sure how much of a tail to give you. But this is your magic circle. This is how you would start that. So when you see the magic circle or the magic ring, that's how you do that. There are other tutorials on YouTube that you can look up on the magic ring or the magic circle that'll give you more of a close-up, because it's hard for me to do here. Because I am running these classes off of a laptop, not a full production studio like some of these tutorials have access to. I'm going to try to do it up closer. So you have your short end over here. You're going to loop your longer end over, kind of like you're starting to slip knot. You got like your little ribbon. You're going to pull this up, but you're not going to tighten it all the way. You're going to kind of leave it open. You're going to come in behind, inside that circle, like that. You're going to loop it over, pull up. Now you've got a loop on your hook. You are going to pull over and just pull through like you're chaining. And that hooks that to that circle, and it is completely adjustable at this point. You can make it smaller, you can make it bigger. And that's how you do that. If you don't want to do the magic circle method, it's too fiddly, you can't get it, make a slip knot. Stick your crochet hook in here. Chain for this one, we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Again, this is not written in the pattern. This is just an easier way to start a circular project if you're having trouble with the magic circle. I had trouble with the magic circle for the longest time, and this was my solution. I chained 3. I took my hook, I go back into the first hook, or the first stitch, and I slip stitch into that, which is you yarn over, you pull through that hoop. So you've got your 2, and instead of completing a single crochet where you would yarn over and pull through both of those, you're just going to hook this top, the stitch closest to your hook, through that bottom one and complete that stitch. So that kind of gives you a ring too. And it's still adjustable. It's just a little more sturdy. It's not as fiddly as the magic circle. So then from here, we're going to pretend like we did the magic circle, and we are going to continue on with our project. This is nice for kids' hats. Using this method instead of the magic circle, it does not unravel as easy. So if you're making this for somebody that's going to wash it quite a bit, chain 3, slip stitch into your first hook, and then what you're going to do after that is you're going, once you completed that circle, you're going to chain 3 again. And now right in the center of this, you see how the stitch you slip stitched into is now loose. You want that. But we're not crocheting into there. We are going to crochet into, excuse me, we are. Okay. Yeah. And then we're just going to put in, this calls for 12 double crochets. We made this chain 3. You're going to go right next to that. You're going to go into that little adjustable loop you made by slip stitching into there. And you're going to put your 12 double crochets. That's 1. So you're going to yarn over, go through your hole, yarn over, pull through. You have 3 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over, pull through 2 of those. You're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull through 2 more. That is your double crochet. You're going to do that a total of 12 times. So you're going to see, let me finish this and I will show you. Yarn over, go through your loop, pull through, yarn over again. You want to take 2 loops off your hook, over your hook. You're left with 2. You're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull through the last 2. And just keep repeating that until you get your 12 stitches. Keep going. And every once in a while, you're going to stop. And you see this looks a little weird. It's fine. Do not panic. It's going to. Until you tighten this, it will circular. It'll eventually be a ring. Count your stitches every once in a while. I have 6 so far. We're going to finish on with our last 6. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. I'm going to see if I can angle this just a little so that you can see what I am doing. I'm working in here. You're going to yarn over. So you've got your previous stitch on your hook plus your yarn over. Then you're going to go in right here, yarn over again, pull that through that stitch. You've got 3 loops on your hook. You are going to yarn over. You want to pull through these 2 middle loops. So take this yarn over and pull that through those 2 hook loops. You still have 2 loops on your hook. So you're going to yarn over and you're going to guide that string through those 2 loops. And you're just going to continue on doing that until we finish. Excuse my yarn rolling around. This is what happens. This is why I like to do the center pull from the center of the skein. Otherwise, you have that yarn bundling around. And it is no fun to chase it, especially when you have critters and children chasing it too. So we are going to finish these double crochets to start our ring. I'm going to stop and I'm going to count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I have one more to do. Yarn over, 2 loops on my hook, go through our hole, pull that through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And then we are going to tighten our ring. Mine is a little bit fiddly. Give me a moment. I am going to pull that tighter. As you can see, that's starting to close up. We have not finished closing it yet. You're going to slip stitch to hook this. It looks like a little Pac-Man. Let me fix my camera again. It looks like a little Pac-Man. We are going to go through that first, our chain space, the top of that. We're going to go through there, and we are going to slip stitch this closed. I'm going to show you up close how to do the slip stitch. You are going to take, you're already in that loop. You are going to yarn over and pull through. You have your 2 loops. This is very similar to a single stitch, like I said, but instead of yarning over and pulling through those 2 hoops, you're only going to take that top loop and pull it through that bottom loop. And now we have finished our circle. And you can go ahead and this tail that I told you to leave, you can pull on that now and close off your circle. It's going to loosen unless you go through and weave it in right away. I don't recommend weaving this in until the hat is done. Simply because if you mess up and you need to take things apart, it's going to be more difficult to do. So, but that circle is now closed. I'm going to readjust my camera so that we can move on to the next part. That is round 1. We've completed our circle. We have our little tail. We've closed off the opening. We are going to, for round 2, we're going to start by chaining 3. 1, yarn over, pull through, that's 2, yarn over, pull through, that's 3. And I know you're going to look at me holding my stuff, and I say this every time I make a video. I am left-handed. I crochet right-handed. I hold my hook like a knitter holds knitting needles. That is the style that I found works best for me. And when you're beginning to crochet, even this guide tells you there's multiple different ways to hold your hook. Find the way that works for you. There are all different kinds of methods you can use. This is the way that I am the fastest, and I've had some hand injuries. This just helps me be able to crochet for the long haul on the bigger projects. I'm quicker this way, and it doesn't trigger any of the things that I've done to my hands over the years. We're going to move on. So we've chained our 3. We are going to put 2 double crochets in each hook, in each loop. So we're going to yarn over, and we're going to go back where we slip stitched the beginning of this round. We're going to go right back into that hole, and we're going to put a double crochet in there. Actually, no, we're not. I lied. Don't do that. This does not count as a stitch. I have read this pattern, and your chain up does not count as a stitch. So we're going to go to the next hole, and we are going to put 2 double crochets into that. We want to end up with a total of 24 stitches, not counting that chain up. So we technically had a total of 13 stitches in that last round. We double crocheted 12. We did not count that chain up, which is just invisible. It doesn't exist. So we're going to yarn over, and you see it kind of made like a little V. This looks a little wonky. Ignore this piece. It'll eventually close itself up. And you're going to put 2 stitches in one hole like I just did. And you're going to move right to the next stitch. You're not skipping a stitch. You're going to go into that. You're going to put 2 double crochets in the next stitch. And you're going to continue on. Yarn over, go right into that next stitch. 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, and you're going to continue to the next stitch, same thing, 2 stitches in 1 spot. That was 1, 2, move to the next stitch, go in there, 1, 2. Now I'm going to be following one of the smaller sizes just so I can get through this class. The one I already made that's a display, that is a woman's medium, I believe. I am going to follow the newborn pattern today just so I can get through all these steps with you. Because if I made an adult hat on this tutorial, we'd never get anywhere. And I will leave this hat here. I will leave the adult size here if you want to come look at it. I will leave this one here too so that you can come look at it compared to what you're doing. You can find me here on most days if you need to stop by and bring your work. If you're having trouble, I will answer personal questions. You know, always feel free to stop by and ask me questions. We are open on the inside now. We're going to keep crocheting. I keep stopping and going on tangents, but sometimes things just pop in your head and you need to explain them. We're going to keep finishing this 2 double crochets in each. And you're going to want to watch your tension when you're doing this. You don't want to hold your yarn too tight. Some people think the tighter the better with the stitches, and that's not true. It's not going to have any give. You're going to overstretch your yarn and it's going to break. Do not over tighten your stitches. It's going to make it difficult to go back through in the next row and put more stitches in. It's going to cause your work to pucker a little bit. You want a nice even tension when you're doing this, not too tight, because you want to be able to go back and work in it. You want it to be able to naturally have a stretch to it when somebody wears it. And it's the same concept if you ever make a stuffed animal. You don't want to crochet too tightly because it's going to break after a while. Yarn is stretchy, but you want it to be able to stretch and expand after you've crafted something, especially if it's a wearable. If it's already stretched to its max, it's not going to last very long, and the person wearing it may need to give it a little more, and it can't anymore, you know. So we have finished that. We're going to go back. I'm going to count all of my stitches in this second row. 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. I have 2 more stitches I need to do. I always count at the end. When I think I'm done, I will go back and I will count, because you could think you're finished, but in fact you're missing your last 2 sets. You need to keep count of stitches when you're making a hat or a wearable. You have to make some patterns, like a chevron stripe, if you're not paying attention to how many up and how many down you're doing, your pattern's not going to be even. So count your stitches, and you can either count the top along here, or you can pull apart your little sections where you've got 2 in each thing, count by 2s, whatever works for you. So I'm going to pop these 2. Let me double check my count. Yep, so I need to put 2 more stitches in this last open space here. 1, and that's 2. All right, so that is done. Just like when we closed off the last circle we made, when we made our initial circle, we closed that off with a slip stitch. We're going to do this at the beginning of every, or at the end of every round. We are going to place our hook in the top stitch on that chain 3. We are going to draw up a loop through that hole, and then we're just going to go right through that bottom loop. We're not going to yarn over and then go through, just go through. And that is the end of round 2. All right, like I said, I'm following the newborn pattern because it's smaller and we can get through this together. So for round 3, you are going to have more increased rows with an adult hat. This is the woman's medium, I believe I made, and it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 increased rows. This newborn hat only has 3, I believe. Let me double check. I didn't actually. Okay, so it has a total of 4 increased rows on the newborn hat. So we're just going to continue on. And we are going to chain 3 like we did at the last beginning row. We chained 3. Now the second row, excuse me, this is row 3. I've chained 3. The next stitch, I am going to put 2 double crochets. 1, 2. Now in the next stitch, I'm only going to put 1 double crochet. And this is how you alternate your sizes. Every row count is going to have a different amount of stitches. You should have ended up with 24 stitches in round 2. Round 3, we're going to have a total of 36 stitches. This was one, again, ignore that chain up, but you see there's 3 stitches there. There's 2 in the first hole, and then there's 1 in the next. We're going to go to the next stitch. We're going to put 2 double crochets in there. And this is just going to repeat around. You're going to do 2 stitches in one loop. And then you're going to put 1 in the next one. I'm going to bring the camera a little bit closer so you can see the pattern forming. This is your basic way to increase a hat. It works. So we're going to do this. You see, I have done 2 sets of the stitches. There's 2 in this hole, 1 here. Then I repeated that pattern. There's 2 in the next stitch, 1 here. I'm going to do one with you, hopefully being able to see what I'm doing. I'm going to yarn over. I'm going to go through. I'm going to put, this had a single stitch in it, or single double crochet in it. So this next stitch is going to have 2 double crochets. And we're going to double crochet. And this is what I mean by these bamboo hooks are great for beginners. It kind of has a really nice grip on the yarn. It's not going to slip around on you as much. Put 1 more stitch in there. I'm going to yarn over. I'm going to go through. And I'm going to put 1 stitch in this stitch because we just completed our 2 stitches. Now this is 1. And I'm going to repeat on 2 stitches here. 1, 2, right back in that same space. And then we're going to yarn over 1 stitch in here. Yarn over 2 stitches here. There's 1. Here's the second one. Pull on my yarn a little bit, do its little spin around my table. Go in 1 stitch in this one. 2 stitches in the next. I'm trying to not crochet too fast in case there actually is anybody trying to crochet along with this, but you can always feel free to pause and restart the stream once the video's uploaded. You can rewatch it and just pause it whenever you need to catch up. 1 stitch in our next. Two stitches in our next. 1. Back in that same hole. So there's 2. 1 in the next. 2 in the next. 1 in the next. Oh, wait, did I? We almost messed up. I gotta put my second stitch in that. One in the next. 2 in the next hole. One in the next. Two in that one. Two. One in the next. Two in the next. 1, 2. That was 1. Now we're going to put 2 in the next. One, 2. And then I'm going to put 1 here. And at this point, I'm going to go back. I'm going to count my stitches. I'm going to see if I have finished my row or if I still need 2 more stitches. This is a good way to check. It looks like it's done, but looks can be deceiving. So go back, count your work. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. We have finished, thankfully. So like I said, 36 stitches in this row. We are going to go into the top of that chain 3 and we're going to slip stitch this row shut. And if your counts are coming out properly, you should have a little bubble, a nice flat circle at this point. It will not start doing I've had people ask me before, well, why does it look like a coaster, not a hat? You're still increasing. This is still a flat structure. It will not start taking the bell shape of the hat until you're finished increasing and you're continuing down. Because as long as you're increasing, that part is relatively flat. When you stop increasing, instead of going out, you're now coming down. So it starts to come down. And this is a fully functioning hat. This is my personal hat. But see, it's not one, it fits me. I have a little bit of a chunky head, but it fits. So, like I said, this is a woman's medium. Have the faith, it will turn into a hat. And if not, bring it in. I'll help figure out what you're doing that's making you not do the hat thing. Okay, so on to row 4. We're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Yarn over. Okay, so we are going to double crochet 2 stitches into our first stitch. 1, 2. Now, in the next 2 stitches, so let me draw up a loop so I can bring this closer and show you and not pull out a stitch. We put 2 stitches in one spot. We're going to take the next 2 stitches here and here, and we're putting 1 stitch each. Every increase row is going to change its pattern as far as stitch. You're going to have 2 in some, 1 in others, and it's going to vary. And this helps us increase the size of the hat evenly so that it keeps its circular shape and doesn't start looking like an oval or weird, you know. You don't want corners. So we're going to put 1 double crochet in the next stitch. And we're going to go into the next stitch and put 1 double crochet. And then we're going to put 2 in the next stitch. 1, 2, and then the next 2, we're going to have 1 double crochet. 1, 1, 2 in the next. 1, 2. At the end of this row, you should have 39 stitches. So go on. If you want to pause this to finish this row, you can. You can keep for the replay. You can't really pause live video. I mean, you might be able to. Who knows? 2. I'm going to continue on until I finish because I need to start. This is my last row of increasing. For an adult size or a larger child size, you're going to need to do more increase rows. But again, I am following the newborn pattern just so I can get through the shell stitches with you. I need to teach you those. One, 2, 1, 1, 2, I know I'm crocheting a little bit faster than I normally would on a video, but I'm trying to make it to the end of this row so I can move on. 1, 1, 2, 1 in the next 2, 1 there, 1 there, 2 in the next, 1, 2, 1 in the next 2. There's 1. There's 1. 2 in the next 1. 1. 2. 1 in the next 2. 2 in the next one. 1, 1, 2 in this one, 1, 2, and we're going to 1 in this one, 1 in the next one, 1, 2 in the next one, 1 in the next one, 1 in the next one, 2 in the next one. And I'm going to stop and I'm going to count my stitches because I may or may not be done this row. I want to make sure my row came out, or a round. We're working in a round, so this is a round, not a row. I want to make sure it came out even and I didn't miss any of the patterning. So I'm going to count my stitches. 2, 4, 6. All right, we are good. I goofed. We weren't supposed to do that pattern all the way around. I've got too many stitches. So we were supposed to complete that 3 times, not all the way around. In the adult hat, it has you continue that all the way around, but in the newborn, it does not. So we are going to back this out. I need to complete 3 sets of that This is what we call frogging. Other tutorial people will not show you this. This is when you make a mistake and you rip out your stitches. You know, rip it. Frogging. So there's one set. That's 2 sets. That's 3 sets. So I need to back it out all the way to there. That's our increase for this row. 1 stitch in each hole the rest of the way around. That was my mess up, but I'm glad I messed up because, you know, now I can show you that. Don't sweat the small stuff. If you need to rip stitches out, so be it. I have gotten 3/4 of the way done a blanket and had to rip it out because I messed something up on row 5 that I didn't pay attention to. It happens. So I'm going to complete this row again. At this point, I have 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 stitches of that repeating pattern. And then, so this will be, if I could do that, can I crochet today? I don't know. Yeah, 13 stitches, so this will be 14. And by the time you finish this row, you should have 39 stitches. I had close to 60 because I didn't read the pattern. Always read the pattern. All right, this was a little bit better. And you need to keep a count because if you have more or less stitches than you want to, you're going to mess up the shawl patterning. Which is why instead of just going with what I just did, I backed it out. I want to make sure my stitch count is proper so that when I add the shells in, it flows evenly. I don't have larger gaps in some spots than others. You got to keep your stitch count in line. And as you crochet more, like I recognized what I did wrong, you'll be able to pick up if something's not quite right, you'll be able to spot it. Which is why I always double check my round before I start a new one. One double crochet in each after we finish that little bitty increase. But that is for the newborn size. Again, check your pattern. If you're not sure, bring it in. I'll explain the size you want to make it in. Or just message me here or call the library if you don't feel like stopping in. Continuing on with 1 stitch. And we're still working with double crochets. This whole pattern is pretty much double crochets. I think there's some slip stitches and maybe some single ones in there somewhere, but for the most part, it's double crochet. Keep going. Just keep stitching. You know. We are getting there. All right, so I think I'm done. I'm going to recount. Hopefully I have the right stitch count this time and I didn't goof again because we ain't got time for that. All right. 1, 2, 3, we're back on track. So now I can, and you can see that started the curve in because we did not complete the increase pattern all the way around. It's starting to build. You got like the beginning of a little baby jellyfish right there. You can name it Squishy if you want to. Okay, so we're going to slip stitch that. And my yarn just frayed a little bit. I got to retwist that real quick. Okay, there we go. All right, now that we're going to start the shell pattern, now your chain 3 counts as a stitch. It did not while we were increasing. But once you start the shell patterning, that chain 3 will count as a stitch because it's going into a cluster. So we are going to chain our 3. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to put 4 more double crochets into this stitch right here, right where we chained 3, that space. We're going to put 4 more double crochets in that same hole. So we're going to go in here, draw up our loop, 3 loops on a hook. It looks a little weird because that's my chain 3. It always acts a little bit wonky. So now we've got 2 stitches in that. We're going to put our third. It's going to be a total of 5 because that chain 3 now counts as 1. That's 3. We're going to put number 4 in there. And we're going to put number 5 right in there too. That is 5 stitches in our first stitch from our last row. It's going to look like a shell. Can I get that on camera, please? It looks a little weird, but trust the process. Okay. Now, we're going to skip the next 2 stitches. We're not going to put anything in here, and we're not going to put anything in here. But we are going to yarn over, and we're going to count. Miss these 2. Not this one, not this one. This third stitch from this cluster, we're going to put 1 double crochet in that hole. So there is a gap. 1, 2, and then you got your double crochet. We're going to yarn over. We are going to skip these 2 stitches. Nothing here, nothing here. We are going to put another cluster right here in that third stitch. And this is going to have 5 double crochets in it. So there's 1. Go back in here. Put a second double crochet in that spot. Same spot. That's number 2. Right back in there. Here's number 3. Number 4. Number 5. And we have a pattern starting to emerge with this. So again, we're going to skip 2 stitches. 1, 2, and we're going to put 1 double crochet in here. It's going to be all by its lonely. And then we're going to skip 2 more stitches. 1, 2, and we're going to put another cluster of 5 double crochets in here. And this is what is starting your shell. I will show you again with the other hat for reference in a minute. usually don't have reference pieces, but now that we're starting to adventure into patterning and not just stitch and go, I want to have a reference piece so that you can see what I'm talking about as we progress. That's 3. We're going to put 2 more in there. One, 2. That is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, you can pull these apart to count them a little better. There's 1. There's number 2. Here's number 3. There's number 4. And there's number 5. Skip 2. 1 double crochet in the 3rd space. Skip 2. Not here, but in that 3rd stitch, another cluster of 5. This is going to repeat all the way around. So you're going to do a cluster of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then skip 2, 1 double crochet in the 3rd space, skip 2, cluster of 5 in the 3rd space. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to yarn over, skip 2 stitches, 1 double crochet here, 1, 2, skip these 2 stitches. Right in that 3rd, we're going to put another cluster of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we're going to skip 2, 1 double crochet right here. 1, skip 2, cluster of 5 right here. Excuse me, hopefully my yarn doesn't fall on the floor again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in that cluster. I'm gonna stop and take a look because I know I'm at my end. And I am going to skip 2. And I am going to put 1 double crochet in that 3rd thing. It is very close to that first shell that we did at the beginning of this round, but that is okay. We are going to slip stitch to our first chain 3 to the top of that, just like we've been doing. Yarn over, pull through both, drop your loop, pull through that. That is our first row. It's starting to do the little hat thing. Again, this is a newborn size, and I'm sorry for the glare off of the white yarn. I should have pulled my curtain, but I did not. And it's starting to do little teeny tiny little baby shells all the way around. You'll see, like I was talking about with this one, how when we started that, it is going to create little gaps. This is not like a blizzard hat. This is a keep the head warm hat, you know, for whatever. It's excuse me, I didn't mean to yawn on camera again. But you can see the difference between the increased rows or just double crochets. These ones have skip stitches, but as you progress, everything is going to flow and start to line up. It's going to create like a diagonal effect. It's a simple way to make a hat look a little bit different than your average hat. We're going to go on to the next row. We are going to okay. We have slip stitched, we've closed it off. Instead of chaining 3, you don't want to start on a gap like that. So what we're going to do is we are going to slip stitch into the next stitch. It might be a little fiddly to get in there, but you can do it. Get in there, yarn over, pull through that bottom loop. We're not doing a single, we're doing a slip stitch. Yarn over, drop your loop, pull through that bottom loop, don't yarn over again. Now that we have slip stitched into those next 2 stitches, now we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And you're going to notice you're working in the center of that first shell you did on the last round. We're going to put a shell here. So we are going to yarn over, and we're going to put 4 more double crochets because our chain 3 counts as 1 stitch. So we are going to put 4 more double crochets into this shell cluster. 2, 3, 4, and there's a total of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to skip 2, just like we did on the last row, and we're going to put 1 double crochet in that spot. We're going to skip 2. That'll put us right in the top of that, right in the center of that second shell. We're going to put 5 double crochets in here and make a shell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Skip 2, chain right in there, or not chain, put a double crochet. That's your single one. Now you're going to skip 2 more. 1, 2. That is going to put you at the top of another shell. We're going to put a shell here. 5 double crochets makes in 1 stitch makes partial. That's 2. 3, 4, 5. And we are going to 1, 2, skip 2, 1 double crochet here, yarn over, skip 2, 1, 2. We're going to go into this third again. It's at the top of the shell, so we're going to make another shell here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to 1, 2, skip those 2, put 1 double crochet right here. I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to skip 2 more, go into the top of this shell. Because we're making another shell. 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to yarn over, we're going to skip 2, put 1 double crochet in here. Then I am going to skip 2 more, yarn over, they're not there, but at the top of the shell, we're going to put another shell, so 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My yarn had a little bit of a bubble in it. I had to fix that. Excuse me. Skip 2. We're going to put 1 double crochet right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops. Did you can. That was supposed to be a single one. All right, pull it out. Skip 2. 1, 2. Put a shell here. I misjudged my space. I had to pull it out, fix it. Again, if you make a boo-boo in the patterning, because doing stuff like this, it's easy to forget to do that one standalone double crochet, especially if you've got life going on around you. Again, animal, kids, TV, it's all distractions that can cause you to mishap. It's okay to pull stuff out and redo a stitch or two or a whole project. Been there, done that. We all have. That's why we call it frogging. It doesn't sound as devastating that way. All right. So that is our row. And when you finish off the shell post, it'll always kind of complete a pattern. Like here we have a shell here, a standalone, and a shell here. That's how I know I'm done. I don't need to go, at least I don't need to cut. This pattern will tell you how many clusters of shells, how many posts you need. Count those instead of individual stitches. Make sure they go in the right order. And then we're going to finish off this round by adding our slip stitch in the top of that first stitch. And we're going to check our pattern because every row is different. We're going to do exactly for this row what I did with the last one. So I am going to slip stitch in the first two stitches in that shell. One. This just gets your hook in the right place for your chain 3. Because remember, we're skipping 2 stitches, going to the third stitch. This just puts you in line to be able to line that up so it's accurate throughout the rest of your round. So we're going to, again, this counts as our first double crochet. So we're going to put 4 double crochets in this, and we're going to do this all the way around again, where we make a cluster, do a single post, do a cluster, do a single post. That's going to repeat all the way around. I need to do this for 2 more rounds before I can teach you how to close this off. Did not realize this tutorial was going to take this long, or I would have scheduled this in 2 parts. I apologize, and thank you for hanging out with me. If you are still here, Facebook changed some things. I can't see how many people are watching right now. So I skipped 2 stitches. One, 2. I'm in the top of that shell again. So I'm going to put 5 double crochets and create my next shell. This pattern moves pretty quickly. It builds up pretty quickly. You can, once you get a hang of the repetition, you can whip one of these hats up in no time. Again, this is a newborn size, but these are great for, you know, coming home from the hospital, or at least in the newborn size. The newborn size should fit some dolls too, like some of the. So if you're buying a little doll baby for somebody for Christmas, you can always make a little hat to go with it. Yeah. There we go. 3, 4. 5. Do a skip 2, do a post. Skip 2, do a shell. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, skip 2, do a post, okay, that's done, skip 2, do a shell, 5 stitches right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, skip 2, post, skip 2, 1, 2, shell, 5 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, skip 2, 1, 2, do a post, 1 double crochet right there, yarn over, skip 2, 1, 2, do a shell, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we're going to skip 2, do a post, and this is the last post of the row. So I am going to close this off. I am supposed to do another row of shells for this pattern, for this newborn pattern. However, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to skip on to the last 2 rows. Okay. Just so I can show you how to finish this hat. So I should, for a newborn hat, you should have a total of 4 shell rows. You will alternate between rows 5 and 6 to do those. What you do in 5, then you follow 6, and then you go back to 5, and then you go back to 6 until you get your 4 rows. Now, we're going to skip to row 9 for this because I need to finish off this tutorial. I've been on here for almost an hour and a half. I'm pretty sure you guys are, waiting for this to wrap up. So we're just going to skip to the last 2 finishing rows. We are going to, now that we've slip stitched, we're going to put two single crochets in here. Sorry, I don't know why it's different for this than it is a new one, but we're going to figure it out. And then we're going to put 1 single crochet in each stitch. 1. And you're just going to go all the way around. Until you get to that last stitch of this round. So just don't skip any of these stitches. Just one single you're going to put in your first stitch. You're going to want to put the 2. I'll go back and show you. You guys are probably sick of watching me undo stitches at this point, but if the instructor has no problem ripping out our work, you shouldn't either. I'm going to, not where we slip stitched, but in the next stitch, that's where you're going to put 2 single crochets. You go into the loop, you yarn over, you pull through, yarn over, pull through. That's a single crochet. Now, we put 2 in there. Go all the way around, do 1 single crochet in the rest of these until you get to that last stitch. Not where we slip stitched in to start the row, but the stitch before that. So we're just going to keep going all the way around. You can zoom through if you've made it through all of these shells, congratulations. This is the easy part. 1 single crochet all the way around. What this does is it creates like a band to help hold the hat on your head. This will also keep it from, because you've got all these skipped stitches and these single posts and these shells, it'll stretch out over time. This band of single crochets kind of gives it an edge, like when you have a sleeve or something, or a pant leg. It just gives it more stability, keeps it from overstretching, keeps it from ripping. It just gives it a nice sturdy foundation. Just zoom all the way around. Almost done. Just keep stitching. We're almost there. And we have one more row of just this single crochet. You see, this is my last stitch. And it's one of the posts, which is why they want you to put 2 stitches in there, because it's kind of a gap space and it just helps fills it in, it seals it up. And then we go in. Because we didn't chain, we don't really have to slip stitch in. We can just go right on to the next round. And in here, we are just going to go into the back loop of each stitch. I'm going to pull this back down again so you can see what I mean. We normally go underneath and we grab these 2 loops. We're not going to do that this time. We are going to, this is the front, this is the back. We're just going to draw up that 1 loop. If this is too complicated for you, by all means, just single crochet around for another round. But this is what this pattern calls for. It just gives it a little extra flair. It makes the bands look like It's got a design. Again, we're not going to go under. We're going to go in between these two on the top, because you can see there's two strands at the top of each stitch. You're just going to go into the back one and do a single crochet where you yarn over and pull through. Back loop. We have a few patterns coming up in these tutorials that are going to call for these back loops, so get used to doing it. Back loop. Grab the back loop, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. And you do that all the way around, and it'll look like this, where it's just a very thin, almost like a braided band. You can add more than 2 rows of that if you really want to. Just keep back looping. Put a stitch marker at the beginning of the round so you know where to stop, because when you're not chaining up, it's very easy to lose count of that. So you can do more if you want more of a brim. If you like more of a brim, you can continue on until it's as thick as you want it. And this is what I mean by leaving a tail. I just flipped this one that I already completed inside out to show you. I left this on purpose. This is the purpose of this darning needle. And I don't sew it until I'm done, because sometimes your initial ring will loosen up a little bit. You just got to snug it up a little bit, you know, give it a little tug. And then all you do is you take your darning needle, and I got ones that have like an easier opening because some yarns are thicker than others. And this is a pain because this particular yarn likes to fray at the end when you cut it. I'm cheating a little bit. I'm taking some this hand sanitizer. Don't worry, I'm not being gross. It just helped me roll that a little more. I'm probably not supposed to do that, but I break all the rules anyway. Who needs rules? Anyway. So you would just take your darning needle and find a way to, what I do is I like to go around this at least twice, and then I'll take it down the line a little bit. I don't know, it's about second or third row. Then I tie it off, and then I cut it. That's all. And if you need help with that part, feel free to stop in, call me, whatever you need to do. Thank you so much for watching me today. I know this one ran a little bit longer than most of my other ones, but I wanted to get through a complete hat with you guys because I wanted to show you from start to finish, because it's not just a stitch and go. There is a pattern to this. So thank you for hanging out with me today. Feel free to stop by and get a kit if you didn't already. If you know somebody else that wants a kit, send them by or come grab it for them. I look forward to seeing you on my next tutorial. Hopefully you'll join me for that. That is scheduled for, my next one is November 5th. It's just a basic scarf class, but on Friday, November 19th, I am going to be doing a baby blanket. It is not your typical square baby blanket. It is a 12-pointed star pattern. So if you're interested in that, stop by, pick up the pattern, pick up a beginner skein, a sampler packet. That sampler packet is not enough to finish that blanket. You can go to Joann's, Michael's, Walmart, get a worsted weight yarn, whatever color you choose, it'll work. I'm looking forward to that one. And then December 3rd, we are going to be making holiday ornaments. I have a couple of different patterns for those. We have little holiday lights. I have stars. I think there's one other thing that I had found that I'm going to show you guys how to make. I can't remember what it is right now. I'm sorry. All the patterns are here though, so feel free to stop by. We'll get you set up with all those. And the last pattern for December 17th, I'm going to be showing you how to make a cowl. Because if you're like me, you cannot stand dangly things from your scarf getting stuck in your zipper. You just don't want it. I hate scarves. I will not wear a scarf. So I have pulled this pattern It's just a little ribbed turtleneck with, it's a cowl. It fits under your coat nicely. There's no strings getting caught anywhere. It lays flat. I like those better. And if you can think of anything that you would want me to teach, leave a message here on Facebook. I'll add it to the list. Thanks again for joining. Have a great day, and I will talk to you all later.